Do you want to hold off on what we think about the Republic? I really don't have a high opinion on the Republican side, but do you want to put?
Yeah. I do want to talk about that real quick. I think this election needed to be more of a landslide for it to have like changed the Republican Party to be like, okay, we need to move away from Trumpism, because it was. I mean, technically, when it's all said and done, it's going to be a 74 electoral college vote margin, right? Which isn't close when you look at it. But when you think of how the election actually went, where like, oh, election night was like close and all that stuff, it gives people the idea that, hey, Trumpism still kind of works. And also the fact that they won seats in both the House and the Senate. It's like, hey, yeah, Trumpism kind of works. So I think the fundamentals of the Republican Party won't change. They're going to continue being fear-mongering. They're going to continue using the whole socialism thing as like this horcrux or whatever. I just think
Harry Potter reference.
Yeah, I just think just generally nothing is going to fundamentally change with that party, which is sad to say. I mean, we already see it with Loeffler and Perdue trying to be the best Trumpian selves and asking the Secretary of State to resign because he like messed up the election count and all that stuff. Which no, he
And
didn't.
you know what was beautiful? He basically told him "F you."
Yeah.
He was like, I did everything I was supposed to do.
And the Republicans have so much said that the reason they're not acknowledging Biden's victory is because they don't want to piss off Trump supporters. They want them to come out and vote in the Georgia runoffs. So they want them to think that the Republican senators still have their back, that kind of thing. So it's a very cynical party, and that's not going to change.
And I would say this. I can agree with you that they're not completely going away from Trumpism. Again, with the Democratic side and the progressive side, in 2 years, when all of a sudden, because Donald Trump's not going to be president, right?
Yes.
But if they stick, because the thing is, you got to remember, Trumpism is attached directly to Donald Trump, right? It's a cult of personality. What happens when you don't have that personality around anymore, right? What's going to happen there? I think what will end up happening is no, that was a legit question. I'm just thinking out loud. So Zeno's about to answer. That was a legit question. I was just saying, because I was about to answer. I think what's going to happen is it's either one way or the other. Either you're right, where Trumpism isn't going to completely go away, and there's going to be certain blocks, certain areas. Mitch McConnell is in a Trumpism safe area, right? Like, I mean, if you keep voting for this guy, there's nothing that can get that can convince you that you shouldn't be voting for him, right? Same thing with Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham in any other state would have lost that election because he just came off really badly, right? But I think in 2 years, what ends up happening is people still try to attach themselves to Trumpism, but then people are going to be like, why are you saying all this crap, completely forgetting that Donald Trump is the creator of this kind of crap? You know what I mean? And then they give out, and then the Republican Party will decide that, oh crap, we got to move away from this because we don't have the personality attached to this type of thinking anymore.
I'm of the opinion Trump doesn't actually go away. Like, he's gonna remain in this
until he dies.
Yeah, he's gonna remain doing rallies and stuff, and he's gonna have a fraction of his supporters still coming out and supporting his rallies and stuff. The only difference is he wouldn't be getting wall-to-wall coverage on TV. Thank goodness. So,
what's that? Actually, you know what? That might cause him to drown out. Because if he's not getting attention,
like if he just stops, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
Because if he doesn't get, that's the one thing that narcissists crave is attention. And I don't care what y'all say, Donald Trump is a narcissist. So, anyways, I think both of these parties are at a crossroads currently where they want to go, which direction they want to go, and I'm looking forward to hopefully the Republican Party just runs up. Because it's just look, this is the toxic kind of environment. You have people who are intelligent on my timeline who are talking about voter fraud, right? I mean, like, you're intelligent people and you're talking about voter fraud, acting like early voting is voter fraud, acting like a president winning the popular vote and winning the presidency is crazy, but you didn't question when the popular vote was won for Hillary, but she didn't win their election. So
one of my friends is like, it's a possibility. I wouldn't put it past them. I was like, yeah, but it's also a possibility that I may have come from the future in a time machine. But you don't put not every possibility deserves a platform.
yeah,
There has to be a certain amount of critical thinking involved before you're like, okay, let's investigate
yeah.
this. I don't. Yeah.
And this is the one thing that I will say, that this made me actually very proud of the founding fathers, because one thing that this election has shown is that the checks and balances, that the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, all that stuff was created to prevent tyranny, because it was founded by people who were fighting tyranny. Yes. So that is one thing that actually makes me very proud, because it's showing you that no matter what he's saying, in any other country, this might have been a coup. It really would. Yeah. Like questioning the integrity of the elections, right? I believe that happened with back in where did it recently just happen? In Bolivia, I think, or something like that.
It happened in Venezuela.
Was it Venezuela? That's different.
Where the sitting guy didn't want to leave after losing. I thought that happened in Venezuela.
It was kind of it depends on who you're asking, right? Because there's some people who are saying that in Venezuela, the sitting president, he won, but it was the people who, because he's backed by America. So a lot of times when there's a politician backed by America in Latin America, you have to have the question. But you end up having to question the validity of that person, because it's not that far reached that America. They don't do coups here, but they try to do coups in other countries,
But that's what when Trump came out and said that whole thing about taking it to the Supreme Court. That's what I posted on Facebook. Like, what he's doing now is ensuring that no other American election going forward will have that credibility. Because now this guy has thrown water on it that there might be rigging. So that's the thing we always used to say about other countries.
It doesn't make sense. I'm losing by 70%. Rigging. That's what the next guy says. So anyway, but actually, saying that, right? Checks and balances. It works. I did a segue.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, we actually got an idea of how checks and balances work, right? With the Supreme Court. I'm going to let Zino explain that. Zino, explain to us real quickly what recently just transpired with the Supreme Court that basically tells us that, hey, checks and balances actually does end up working in this country.
Right. So prior to the Amy Coney Barrett confirmation, there's been a lot of talks about what's at stake if we add another conservative justice to the court, right? Because they were talking about Roe v. Wade would be at stake, LGBT marriage equality would be at stake. But one of the big ones they're talking about was the case on the Affordable Care Act, which is scheduled to go in front of the courts November 10th, Tuesday, so 2 days ago. So it came up in front of the courts. And one thing that a lot of people, seem to think is that, a Republican appointed this justice, then that justice will vote the way Republicans want. A Democrat appointed this justice, that justice will vote the way Democrats want. I like to believe, right, as naive as I can be sometimes, that justices will adjudicate based on the law, not based on who put them there. And part of the reason why I would hope that is the case is because of what Zeus was talking about earlier, with how the founders were wise in setting up their system of checks and balances. One of those wise decisions was to make sure that even though the president nominates a justice, so that's your executive branch, and your legislative branch confirms a justice, once the justices are now part of the judiciary branch, they are not beholden to any term limits, right? They don't have to be reelected or anything like that. So because they don't have to be reelected, they don't have to kowtow to any political ideology. They can adjudicate the way they choose to without worrying that they'll lose their seats. And that's what we saw this week with the case for the Affordable Care Act. Funny enough, right? So we have 3 liberal justices, right? We've got Stephen Breyer. We've got Sonia
Sotomayor.
Sotomayor and Elena Kagan. Right. Um, what happened was that John Roberts seems to have sided. Now they haven't like voted on the case yet, but from their oral arguments, it seems like the Affordable Care Act is going to be here to stay. Justice Roberts argued. First of all, it seemed to be arguing like, why is this coming in front of me for the fourth time, right? Because the Republicans have tried to kill it 70 times in Congress, and then they tried to bring it in front of the Supreme Court 4 times, and he seemed to be very annoyed by that. Justice Kavanaugh, a Trump appointee, basically argued that there is no reason why the entire thing should be struck down. That you should be able to take out certain pieces of it that you find to be unconstitutional, or whatever, and kill one piece and not kill the rest. So Kavanaugh, I think there's one part of the mandate that he seems to be in favor of killing, but as a whole, he doesn't seem to be in favor of killing the entire Affordable Care Act, which would mean that the Affordable Care Act has survived another Supreme Court's challenge, which is crazy. So checks and balances, it works sometimes. You don't just expect that the Supreme Court will do things for you because they are of your party.
So that's actually the thing that I talked about with Zino in pre-production, was that the I think what ends up happening is you might have Amy Coney
Barrett. Just say ACB.
ACB. All right, good, because I hate memorizing people's names. ACB. Amy. Amy. Good old Amy from Supreme Court. So when she goes in, or she's in now, right? She's appointed, so she's now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now that she's there, yeah, she might have gratitude toward Donald Trump, right? But once she's in there, she realizes, what can he do to me? What can any Republican do to me? Now that I'm here, you can't touch me. I'm a lifetime appointment.
Yeah.
Right. I will only leave if I choose so, if I die. That's really the only way that I'll leave.
The only thing that some people were worried about her with is that apparently she's from a sect of Christianity in which she believes that, which people of that sect believe that what the husband says is the final say so. So even so even if she has her her mind on certain things, if the husband is like, you got to keep Trump in power, so make sure to like votes to cancel those ballots that made Biden win. People were afraid that she would do whatever her husband says she should do, despite the fact that she's the justice, not him. So that was the Amy Coney Barrett thingy.
No, I get that. I get, like, her personal opinions is one thing, but when something comes up, don't get me wrong, she's gonna vote to ruin marriage equality. Yeah, she's gonna do that. She's gonna vote to try to make abortion hard as hell, right? That she's definitely gonna do. But that doesn't necessarily mean that all the other conservative judges will do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't necessarily mean that, because there's a lot of those judges now. ACB is probably the least qualified person to be on the Supreme Court now. Yeah. Right? I mean, she's only been practicing she started practicing during the Trump administration.
No. She became a federal judge during the
federal judge. I'm sorry, during the Trump. I think they had that she's never tried a criminal case in her entire career.
Probably.
So she's, like they say, it's easier for some people to be. There's certain people in this country for them to be mediocre, while other people have to be excellent.
The guy Whitaker, who replaced Jeff Sessions, Trump put him there as acting AG. He hadn't tried a single case, and he was the Attorney General of the United States. Like, that's all this administration has ever been about. Just putting people that don't belong, people that aren't fit.
DeVoe, we're ready. We can't wait for you to. We can't wait for her to bounce. But what I was saying to Zeno was that what I think ends up happening is there's a certain respect that you end up having for that position, right? That as soon as you're in there, God willing, your conscience comes in and says, I don't have to be who they think I was going to be because I don't have to answer to anybody but my conscience and the law, right? And then I think that's actually the good thing about the 9 judges, there being 9 judges. Yeah, it's unfortunate that it's 6-3. Do I still think that Joe Biden is probably going to pack the court? Well, it depends, right? If you don't have enough votes, you probably can't. But I do
That's
think
true. Yeah, that isn't even a thing now, because if at best it would be a 50-50 Senate. Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
I didn't think of that. Okay.
So he probably can't. But there might be enough Republicans that can get swayed to let him pack the court at least once or twice. No, probably not. But
no. I mean, the Republicans that could get swayed on other things, court packing, I don't see that at all. I don't see a Republican agreeing to let a Democrat put 2 more judges.
So the only way that'll happen probably is if in 2 years we finally, like, if they're able to, if the Democrats are able to say, look, we can't do this. Y'all need to vote Democrats in, right? So that's probably the only way that happens. But again, he doesn't have, so God willing, hopefully it's just one of those cases where the conscience of those Supreme Court justices weighs in. Look, I thought Justice Roberts was gonna kill ACA when it first went to him. He's the reason why it basically became law, because he was the deciding vote.
Yeah.
Right? Then again, he might be coming from an old school mentality, right? But look, like you said, Brett Kavanaugh he tricked the hell out of us. We thought he was going to be like, oh, no, I'm killing it. But he's like, no, there's just maybe certain portions. Which parts is he saying is unconstitutional? The whole part?
It might be the individual mandates or something. I don't know. But he's not saying that they should kill it all. So that's something.
All right. So, like, one thing that we're definitely going to talk about in the future, though, is just to let y'all know, we definitely want to. I think me and Zino definitely want to talk on the historic part of the Joe Biden Kamala Harris election. Right? There's a lot of things. I'm a father to a daughter. It's an amazing thing for her to be in her life. Like, before she was born, we had a vice president, nominee, and Hillary Clinton, before she was born, was the presidential nominee. Talking about Sarah Palin. Why does everybody seem to like Zeno's?
No. Yeah, I was like, before she was born, because I was like, the first one was before we were born, which is Geraldine Ferraro back in '84, I think. But I thought it was Clinton you were looking for. Huh? '84.
It was '88. I was already born. It was '84.
I'm pretty sure it was '84. Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah, no, it's definitely '84. Mm-hmm.
But anyways, yeah. So it's just so we definitely want to talk on that. It's just we wanted to knock out the whole reflection on the election. There's a few things that we probably want to talk about. That's one of those things because it is a historic thing.
Probably closer to Inauguration Day.
Definitely. So, anyways, yeah. So that's the heavy dose of politics of our podcast. Zeno, you got anything else to talk about?
Politics wise?
Politics wise.
No. That's a wrap in politics.